Morning, Kathy.
Good morning. How are you?
I'm good. Well, I guess it's morning for me. It's starting to be the afternoon for you.
It is. It is.
I always forget that. So today I want to chat about something that you and I have wanted to do an episode on for a little while. It's, I think, something that, everybody's talking about it. And I mean, not just in our industry. I think it's becoming a universal topic of conversation. And that is kind of this time of uncertainty that we're moving into in the real estate industry. You said something to me that I think really resonated, and also keep in mind for our listeners, what we're going to talk about today is going to coincide with a blog that Kathy has published. But in that blog, and then also what Kathy said to me, so in this time of uncertainty, it's important to keep perspective. And I kind of want to start with that, Kathy, and just talk about maybe some of the times that we've already gone through, that we've navigated, not just as a company, but, as an economy, as an industry, and then just kind of what we can expect in the near future.
Josh, what I love about real estate, and I think what is so addictive to most of us that are in real estate, is the uncertainty, right? Mm-hmm. It's not this stagnant, I go to work at 8, I take lunch at 12, I leave at 5. It is rock and roll. And the people that I believe are most successful are the people who are flexible and adaptive, and they love that part of the industry. And they're driven by it, not fearful of it. You and Mark Pesson did something to me that I'm just going to tell all of our listeners. We were filming one day and you were like, "Oh man, you've got to watch Stranger Things." And I was like, "What is Stranger Things?" And you're like, "It's a series on Netflix." So then, like a goon, I sit and binge it, and it is phenomenal.
It's really good.
And I think about it really good. I think about these being times of Stranger Things. Mm-hmm. And I have to say, and what we put in the blog is, we're headed for a little bit of a spin, and it won't be the upside down. And if you're a fan of the series on Netflix, you know what that means, but it's a tilt, right? Yeah. And the tilt creates fear, and the tilt creates uncertainty, and a tilt can gain momentum. And what we'd really like to talk about today is what you started out with, is how do we keep that perspective, and how do we keep it positive, and how do we forge ahead as a champion and not a victim of what the market may bring. Mm-hmm. Does that make sense?
It does. So let's kind of start, and I have the blog open, so I'm going to kind of use this as a reference point. So okay. for the readers and the listeners, this will be like really, really good for them because they can listen and read along. You talk about how real estate's an industry of cycles. And I know I kind of brought that up when we first started. There's going to be good times and there's going to be bad times. But can you kind of maybe elaborate on that a little bit?
Yeah. And it's, to me, my experience over the past 30 years has been, it's like a crescendo in music. It's like you may start out a little bit small, but then it builds and builds and builds. And I think of it like a wave. You guys surf in California. I think of it like that wave or that music crescendo where, oh man, you're anticipating, and the anticipation of it should not be fear. Mm-hmm. It should be, wow, where is this going to take us? And you just don't need to become complacent. I think if you become complacent, or if you become comfortable in real estate, is when you get in trouble. It is changing consistently. Shift happens constantly in this industry. And it's, I think, Josh, because there's so many contributors, there's so many contributing factors. Right now we're greatly impacted by interest rates. Mm-hmm. So it may be interest rates that impact us, or it may be the economy, or it may be inflation, or it may be the cost of building supplies, which everything is driven from petroleum, right? From carpets to vinyls to everything that goes into a house. So I think we have to be mindful that, man, it's rock and roll. It's a lot of different moving parts involved in this industry. So don't become complacent. First things first, know that it's a cycle, and one depends on the other, and that depends on it. And you just got to roll with it. Yeah. If you're not a person that's embracing change, I'm going to spit that out, that embraces change, or that likes that, maybe you need to consider something else. Yeah. Because those of us that thrive love it.
Yeah. And, it's, there's no secret that an agent is their own boss. They're an independent contractor. You have to create your own business, and when times are uncertain, it's going to be a little bit tougher. It's kind of you in part of this, you say you want to lean into experience and wisdom and avoid the sensational. We recently just published an episode where we kind of broke down the importance of coaching and how that can really play a factor in your business. So during a time like this, during an uncertain time like this, would you recommend putting that at the top of your to-do list, is finding mentorship, finding coaching?
Yeah. I think we lean into not only personalities that are positive and experienced and wise, and there's a difference in knowledge and wisdom. Let's be clear about that first.
Yeah.
Knowledge is you know a bunch of stuff. Wisdom is you know how to apply that stuff, and you know how to interpret the knowledge. So it's very data driven. Look at what's going on in the market. Things like dig down and things like average days on the market, absorption rate, all those things that are going to impact listings and impact buyers. But in addition to that, lean into that person that's going to bring you wisdom. You need to do it from a global perspective, not as important as national, not as important as local. You've got to drill it down. And if you don't know who those people are, my guess and my advice would be lean into first your broker, the person that owns your office. If you are the broker, lean into your board, lean into your local officials, and then of course lean into the brand. We're here. We have a lot of people that's their job, is looking at those leading indicators to see what's new and what's next. The other thing, and this is so important because of the nature of the beast. And first, let me be the first to be vulnerable and say, in my office, I have crap, right? And it used to be under my desk. I did move it to the closet. And 20 years ago, and it's still, a lot of it is still wrapped in cellophane because it was going to change my life.
Right.
And it was going to help me make so much money. And it was the next greatest best. Did I tell you it's still in the cellophane wrap, which means I never opened it and I'm still here. Yeah. So learn from me and don't go for the shiny and the quick fix and what's going to make you quick money. Don't be seduced by the sensational, because what you're going to have in this market is sensationalism. You're going to have people saying, oh, do this, buy this, subscribe to this, whatever that looks like. That's going to put you upside down financially.
And I think, it's more, you can't look for a quick fix, because then you're not putting in any sort of effort. I think effort is key to all of this. During these times, you are going to have to put in a little extra effort in order to, not only maintain, but move forward. Yep.
Put your freaking head down and get your hands dirty. Yeah. And it's hard work. And you said it, it's dig in and work. We work aggressively. Everyone from your team to the learning team to the research and development team to the IT team. I think we work so well together to make sure that our brand is providing with great intention, are providing and delivering and help to incorporate into an agent's business what they need today and what they need tomorrow.
Right.
It's so comforting to me to know that we've got that R&D team that's constantly looking for what's new and what's next, because I don't have time to do it. You don't have time to do it. We've got subject matter experts that do that.
Yeah.
So engage, get involved, get your hands dirty. It takes work. You said that very, very clearly. And we say, Mark and I say all the time, real estate is simple, not easy. It's not hard. If it were hard, I wouldn't do it.
Yeah.
What is not easy, it's simple. The hard part, the part that's not easy, is the consistency, the discipline, the keeping your head down, the being patient enough to wait for the results.
I think I completely agree, Kathy. Another thing to consider, especially for people who are nervous or, uncertain, for the word that we keep using throughout this episode, this is a small blip in what is hopefully long and, successful careers for many, many professionals. And so I think it's a matter of, you said it, knowing your end game, knowing what your career is going to look like in 5 years, 10 years, 15 years. And that, I think that starts with having a business plan every single year, but it also starts with knowing that these times, they don't last forever. And so you just have to navigate through this time. And then, we mentioned it in the last episode. I think I used the reference of Tiger golfing on a really crappy, rainy, windy day. So when that sunny day comes, it's a walk in the park for him. And so I think that's something to really keep in mind for the people that are listening that are scared about what's next.
Right. One thing, in the blog, I talk about finding your sweet 16,
Mm-hmm.
and your sweet 16 is that individual in your market. They may or may not be in your office, but please take them to lunch and have a conversation with them. That 16-year mark, if you've got an individual that is successful, not a whiner, not a moaner, not a complainer, but that positive energy that's thriving in the market, that's been in the market for 16 years.
Mm-hmm.
They've been through a pretty bad cycle.
Yeah.
They've been through a cycle, they've been through a war, and they've been through COVID. And, if you go back 20 or 21 years, they've been through 9/11.
Yeah.
So there've been so many things that impacted our business. Lean into them and let them and talk to them and listen.
Mm-hmm.
Just aggressively listen. They will validate what we say on this podcast all the time. They see and they've experienced the beauty, the benefits, the opportunity of an uncertain market. And they will tell you when you stick to your game plan. And I love that you mentioned the business plan, but when you stick to your game plan and you keep the end in mind, and that end becomes non-negotiable. It's a key word.
Yeah.
When that end becomes non-negotiable, they will tell you every opportunity will be in your pathway over the next 12 to 18 months because it's a blip.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people are going to get out of the business. Yay. The hobbyists, the people that say, I love houses and I love people.
Right.
They will get out of the business. The co-career people will thrive. The full-time professionals will thrive. We constantly have this cleansing, and it's just time for a cleansing. That's how I look at it.
You always have such optimism, Kathy. I think that you end it with there's the market's going to change. There's going to be dynamics that change. Things are going to change, and there are just that's out of our control. And I know that that's a hard thing to grasp. I know for so many of us, it's a hard thing to grasp, but there are certain things that are out of our control. But there are, and so I think it's a matter of, like you said, keeping your head down and grinding when you need to grind, because then when things are easy, things are going to be really, really easy for you and successful.
Yeah. Mark gave a statistic. I'm going to make this up.
Mm-hmm.
So somebody check me and send an email to learning@realtyoneGroup.com and correct me. But I think when they do a moon, or in the past, when they've done a moon launch
Mm-hmm.
and they go to the moon, they're only on course like 10% or 8%. I'm making it up. Let's say 10% of the time.
Okay.
And all the other time, they're off course, constantly going back on course. But guess what they know?
What's that?
They're going to the freaking moon,
Yeah.
right? It's okay to get off course as long as you know that destination.
Yeah.
And I look at the brilliant I love about engaging in a series like I think it's the Duffer Brothers that are writing the Stranger Things. When I look at Breaking Bad, which that changed my life, we could do a whole nother episode on laundry money.
Likewise.
Breaking Bad was awesome. But when I look at the brilliance of the writing of the Duffer Brothers with Stranger Things, that we're coming, and now I think we got to wait 2 years or something crazy like that. But when you watch this last episode and you think back through, it's like, oh, wow, now I get it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now I get why they did this and this and this. And now I understand it all. And I don't want to give it away because I know you haven't seen the last 2 episodes, but you see the brilliance of beginning with the end in mind and knowing the end game and knowing what is non-negotiable. And that's what a coach can do. That's what an affiliate, a good broker can do. That's what that mentor can do, is say, let's begin with what is your end game? What is your non-negotiable? Is it investment property? Is it retirement? What does that look like? Mm-hmm. And then what do we have to do today to get there tomorrow? Because we're going to be off course a lot. It's like a moonshot.
Yeah.
We're going to be off course a lot. It's going to be like Stranger Things, where you're going to end up in a lot of different places, a lot of different people being in a lot of different places. But the key things that are important is to know your end game and know who's with you, right? Know who's got your back, and just make sure that you do that. It's not the upside down. It's a tilt. It's a tilt. And things, like you said, things will get stranger. And a few years from now, we'll say, God, do you remember when?
Yeah.
Right? Do you remember when
the
that
new
happened?
season comes out?
Yeah, about that time, we'll go, wow, do you remember when that happened? And we actually did an episode on that.
Yeah.
So just hang tight, buckle up, do the things you know you need to do. It's all about staying in front of your sphere of influence. It's all about having systems. It's all about having those things that will not fail when you do.
I think Kathy said it best, and I don't want to say much more because I want to end the episode on that because I thought it was brilliant. Kathy, thank you as always. Yeah, for those listening, if you have any questions, concerns, or have any ideas for topics that you'd like for us to discuss, please go to learning@realtyonegroup.com and shoot us an email. Thank you as always, and Kathy, I will chat with you soon.
Okay, thank you.
We thank you for joining us today on another episode of One on One, a Realty ONE Group podcast. We are powered by One.U and ask if you have suggestions, recommendations, or questions, please email learning@realtyonegroup.com. And remember, pay close attention to the details, listen to understand, not respond, and always be a resource, not a sales pitch.